Donald Trump got 8% of the black vote in 2020. Yeah, in 2020.
He's 20% of the men.
He's polling 22%. The highest person
First of all,
in modern history is
Mr.
Nixon.
Speaker, if you believe that Donald Trump's going to get 20% of the black vote, I will sell you a bridge in Brooklyn.
No, I don't. But I don't believe. I do not believe. If you look at the last election, 2020, Biden only won the election by 48,918 votes, and he had an approval rating of +10. He's now -20.
In today's video, Bakari Sellers destroys Bill Maher, Ben Shapiro, and Kevin McCarthy on Real Time with Bill Maher. What began as a calm political debate on Trump's 2024 election strategy and the Iran deal exploded into a heated showdown. Bakari wasn't just pushing back, he dismantled their arguments point by point, exposing the contradictions in their so-called logic on race, foreign policy, and the GOP's moral compass. Even Maher couldn't contain the tension as Bakari turned the conversation upside down. So let's dive in and watch how Bakari Sellers shuts down Bill Maher and his conservative guests on Real Time with Bill Maher.
So,
but I mean, I think.
And you know what else happened in that election when he won so big? Do you know how many Republicans in Congress lost? Incumbents? 0. First time since '94.
Honestly, I'm gonna be.
Democrats.
You must really miss this shit.
I know.
No, really, I can see how.
I can walk you through anything.
You got politics in your blood.
I was just going to say, I disagree with you, but I honestly find it refreshing that you will even articulate that Biden won the race and Trump lost. And so
that's what I'm saying. Good as it gets, Republican.
I mean, the bar is in hell, but
I know, but that's important.
That is important.
The problem that Biden has is that in 2020, the increase in voter turnout was so massive from 2016, unprecedentedly massive. The voting base increased by about 22 million voters. Normally, it increases maybe 4 or 5 million voters per election cycle. What that means is that you're probably going to get closer to a reversion to the mean. I'd be shocked if you even get as many voters as you had in 2020 and 2024. And a lot of the voters who are not going to be, quote unquote, showing up, by which I mean, like not using mail-in ballots.
What Democrats are doing to one another right now, they're guaranteeing Biden's going to lose. They're weakening in every day. And in the polling, Biden's the strongest one.
I actually argue that Democrats have done more damage to Joe Biden since January 27th, and I mean June 27th, and probably June 27th.
The only person who's done worse still is himself. Biden.
Well, I mean, but at the end of the day, what I've been telling everyone is people analyze this race wrong. I mean, you literally have 3 choices in this race. You have Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and the couch. Those are your choices. And the couch is one of the most amazing candidates in the history of American politics.
Remember,
it runs no ads, and people choose it all the time. I mean,
Bobby Kennedy just shot up and went, what about the worm in my brain? All right. Well, what do you make of the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, pulling its endorsement of AOC for WTF? Okay. What do you make of the Democratic Socialists of America pulling its endorsement of AOC for not being sufficiently anti-Israel? Did that happen?
It did.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I mean,
I was like I was in the who cares category.
Yeah. Same. I'm just looking for. Honestly, I'd like for the Democratic Party to pull its support from the pro-Hamas wing of the Democratic Party. That would be.
Well, I actually think this is. I think that
even without the you should care, because even without the age issue with Biden, there's going to be the Genocide Joe protesters at the convention. This is a split in the party.
But let me articulate this. I think that both parties have a real issue with anti-Semitism. And I don't think it has any place. I mean, I've seen the ads with the Star of David that you all ran in different House races.
Right.
I've heard the words that have come out of Donald Trump's mouth before. I mean, we can't turn a blind eye to the anti-Semitism that's in the Republican Party. We've seen January 6th. We saw people in Charlottesville yelling all the worst. But hold on.
Here's where this comes in.
But hold on. Can I finish this thought? Can I finish this thought? Real quick? Go for it. Okay. The way I wanted to bring this full circle is that, yes, Democrats have to combat the anti-Semitism that's within our own party as well. It needs to be rooted out completely from both parties. That's my only point. It has no place. It has no place in the American political.
I agree. I obviously agree, and I personally have been targeted more than probably anyone else in America by alt-right anti-Semites. Okay, like truly by the statistics. As a conservative. Now, let me say that the vast disproportion of people who are anti-Semitic in America right now, unfortunately, I wish this were not true. I wish it were a non-bipartisan issue and there were no anti-Semitism. But the vast disproportion is inside the Democratic Party right now, which is why the Democratic Party seems unable to divide off from, say, Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib. Yeah. It's why they've had such trouble in simply declaring the obvious, which is that Hamas should surrender. It's why Joe Biden, by the way, the other night, even at that foreign policy supposedly masterful display, he had a tough time explaining exactly. He didn't mention the word hostages one time when he was discussing Israel and Hamas. And there are 5 American hostages sitting in Hamas tunnels right now, and he's still talking about slow-walking military aid to Israel to finish off that war. That is because he is deeply concerned that he's going to lose that part of his base that is anti-Semitic.
This exchange between Bakari Sellers and Ben Shapiro really captures the clash between grounded realism and ideological rigidity. What stands out most here is how Bakari, without even getting defensive, reflects a broader truth about modern US politics, especially when it comes to issues like race, voter turnout, and the moral contradictions within both parties. Let's start with Bakari's skepticism about Trump polling 20% of the black vote. That's not cynicism, it's data-driven reality. Historically, no Republican candidate in modern times has broken even 15% of the black vote, and most hover around 8%. Even Trump, despite all the record gains rhetoric, only reached about 12% among black men according to Edison exit polls. Those numbers don't suddenly shift overnight just because of social media narratives. Sellers understands that voter sentiment, particularly among marginalized groups, is built on lived experience, not political branding. When the conversation pivots to anti-Semitism, Bakari's response is what maturity looks like in political discourse. He acknowledges the issue within the Democratic Party, but crucially, he refuses to let conservatives like Shapiro whitewash their own side's record. Because let's be honest, the far right has been a breeding ground for hate groups for decades. From Charlottesville's "Jews will not replace us" chants to the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, it's clear that extremism isn't confined to one ideological camp. What Bakari does here is remind everyone that moral accountability isn't partisan, it's universal. He calls for both parties to confront bigotry head-on, and that's something Shapiro's one-sided framing conveniently overlooks. Sellers isn't just debating, he's urging the audience to see beyond tribal loyalties and face the uncomfortable truth that democracy only works when integrity outweighs ideology.
Let's be fair. We know anti-Semitism, but it's not equal. There's only one party in Congress that equated Hamas equal to America in the same place.
Well, I mean, but
they're sitting elected to
let me also just call bullshit for 1 second, because there was a $31 billion MOU that was signed by what president? Barack Obama. F-35s were delivered to Israel under what president? Barack Obama. The Iron Dome was created under what president? Barack Obama. And so, I've been somebody who's always said that Israel is an American value. I've always said that. October 7th was one of the most devastating days that I've ever seen with my own eyes.
The Democratic Party is not the same party that Obama had today.
Wait, hold on. It actually is. And Barack Obama signed into law the Iran nuclear deal. Barack Obama made Benjamin Netanyahu walk out of the back door of the White House. Barack Obama was the most anti-Israel president in the history of the United States.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Every American
the only possible
president
exception might have been H.W. during his term.
I think that's a teapot. A teapot. But every American president has been a strong backer of Israel.
And that's what
we're talking about the rank and file now. We're talking about people now.
But this is also the problem with the issue and the conversation that we're having. Because back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way through those early times, Israel was truly a bipartisan American value type of conversation. Until Bibi Netanyahu came and spoke. And I'm just telling you, those two men did not like each other. They despised each other personally.
For a person who served in Congress during that time and watched
you can see the rifts and how
it was Obama and Iran cutting a deal directly against, where Schumer even sat there and was quiet, where Steny Hoyer let it go through. That was the turning point. No, never again. We would go to Israel together. Never again. He broke it.
This part really shows how Bakari Sellers holds his ground while both Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher try to rewrite history to fit a narrow political narrative. When Shapiro starts calling Barack Obama the most anti-Israel president in US history, Bakari doesn't need to argue because the facts themselves dismantle that claim. Under Obama, Israel received record-breaking military aid, $31 billion in defense assistance, including the F-35 fighter jets and the Iron Dome missile defense system that literally saves Israeli lives. That's not anti-Israel. That's strategic support grounded in security cooperation, not blind political allegiance. What Shapiro and Maher ignore is that Obama's cautious approach toward Israel's right-wing leadership wasn't hostility, it was accountability. He supported Israel's defense, but pushed back against Netanyahu's settlement expansions and inflammatory rhetoric, which many global allies, even within Israel, saw as obstacles to peace. And that's exactly what Bakari is hinting at. Supporting Israel doesn't mean endorsing everything its government does. Maher's attempt to claim the Democratic Party has changed since Obama's time also falls flat. Polls show that a majority of Democrats still support Israel's right to exist, but they also believe in humanitarian standards for Palestinians. That's not extremism, that's moral consistency. The US-Israel relationship has always evolved through diplomacy, not unconditional approval. Bakari's composure here highlights the difference between partisanship and principle. While Shapiro and Maher treat foreign policy like a loyalty test, Bakari brings nuance, the reminder that real leadership means standing for both allies and human rights.
The partisanship that we're discussing right now, the fact that this has become a partisan issue is
wrong.
why it's wrong.
Okay.
And I tell people that all the time.
We agree on that.
Yeah, but I have to call bullshit on this.
On me or him?
Him.
Okay.
On this with the Iran deal, because I hear this all the time. And this is kind of germane to our discussion before about the immunity. Because the fear is that, as soon as the president leaves office, he's going to be prosecuted and persecuted for something he did while he was in office. And the Supreme Court said, but yeah, presidents while in office do things that they think at the time are best for the country. I didn't think going into Iraq that George Bush did was the best thing for the country, but I think he did. And you can't go after a president for that. Obama thought making a deal with Iran was the best thing for this country, and it may have been. We don't know, because your asshole boyfriend pulled out. And
we do know.
The idea,
No.
the idea was to bring Iran, which is not a country of unsophisticated people, into the fold, into the family of nations.
And here's how it
And,
works.
and it was a very effective deal. They would not have been able to produce a bomb for the next 15 years. We have the facts of this.
Let me return
it had a
with facts
sunset
on the
provision
bullshit.
on the Iran deal that allowed them at a certain point to have a bomb. Not only that, as John Kerry, the Secretary of State, openly acknowledged, it allowed for the development of ballistic missile technology. It made Iran part of the world economy again. When Joe Biden came into office and reoriented the Middle East away from the Abraham Accords and started trying to recut a deal with Iran, Iran got significantly stronger, and it is now Iranian agents in Yemen, in Lebanon,
Well, they're going to have the bomb a lot.
Jordan.
They're going to have the bomb a lot sooner.
But you know what? But you know how they paid for it? When Biden came to office, they produced 4,000 barrels a day. Today, they produce more than 1 million barrels a day.
Of
oil. We still have the sanctions against their oil, but Biden allows them to sell it. That's where they started funding all the terrorism around. You want to know what happened on October 7th? Never would have happened had
when the
Biden
bomb goes
not allowed
off,
the money to
I
go.
don't really care how they paid for it, Kevin.
But they couldn't have done it if they didn't have
No,
the
but
resources.
the goal is to stop Iran from getting a bomb.
Exactly.
And that's what the Iran nuclear deal was supposed to do.
It allowed in the agreement for them to have one.
Take Israel's perspective for just 1 second.
I always do.
But why? No, but I mean, if one party has a relatively strong interest in Iran not getting a bomb, it would be Israel. More than the United States. They're the regional actor that Iran has threatened with
plenty of people
Did Israel support the Iran deal or not?
Netanyahu did not.
No.
There were plenty of people in Israel who did.
That is not true. That's not
of course
true.
it is. There was no dissent in Israel. You think Jews don't argue about this?
Bill, please name, seriously, please.
I've read it. I've read their columns.
Please name the political party that endorsed the Iran deal in Israel.
I don't remember. It was 10 years ago.
I know. It basically does not exist. That is just not, it's just not as a factual statement that in Israel the Iran deal was even remotely popular, right, left, or center. It was not.
Bakari Sellers, Ben Shapiro, and Kevin McCarthy perfectly shows how facts and logic can clash with political spin. While Shapiro and McCarthy try to frame the Iran nuclear deal as a disaster, Bakari's position actually aligns with what most foreign policy experts and intelligence agencies concluded: the deal worked. Under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, Iran's uranium stockpile was reduced by 98%, and it was under strict inspections from the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, the most intrusive nuclear verification regime ever implemented. That's not weakness, that's strategic diplomacy. When Shapiro and McCarthy argue that Obama empowered Iran, they conveniently ignore the facts. After the US withdrew from the deal in 2018, Iran resumed enrichment at alarming levels, moving closer to weapons-grade uranium faster than ever. That's not because of diplomacy, it's because diplomacy was abandoned. The same Republicans now complaining about Iran's nuclear progress are the ones who killed the very agreement that prevented it. And let's talk about the Abraham Accords they love to bring up. Those deals were about normalizing relations between Israel and Arab states, yes, but they didn't address Iran's nuclear ambitions at all. In fact, Iran became more aggressive regionally afterward, filling power vacuums left by failed US policies. Bakari's stance isn't soft, it's pragmatic. He recognizes that isolating a nation like Iran only strengthens its hardliners, while engagement gives leverage. Unlike McCarthy and Shapiro's fear-based rhetoric, Sellers understands that diplomacy backed by accountability is how you actually prevent wars, not start them. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.